Hello, hi, welcome back. This video is about my trading journey starting at 14. I'm going to talk about how I started, some lessons I learned, and some expensive lessons I learned, so you hopefully won't make the same mistake that I did. Hi, welcome back to Out of Stock. I'm Hugo, I'm 18, I've been investing since I was 14. This channel is basically just kind of documenting my trading journey, trying to make something. This video in particular, as I mentioned, is about my trading journey. In the last video I broke down my thesis on Ondas. Recommend you watch it, it's very interesting. I'll put it in the link or whatever. This one is a little bit different. I'm not gonna shill a stock the whole time. I'm gonna talk about how I go about trading and what I've learned. Times I got lucky and thought I was an absolute genius, and times where I made big dumb mistakes, because everyone does. Before we start, this is not financial advice. I'm a teenager. Don't take life advice from me. That's stupid. So, started when I was 14. I had been working at a minimum wage job, which I actually still work at, for about 6 months, and then my dad wanted to set me and my sister up with a parental controlled account, because obviously I can't trade at 14 by myself. Shucks. Obviously it didn't start out with stock picking and making dumb gambling mistakes, because I would have probably lost even more money. I started with a stock called xus.to. It basically just mirrors the S&P. It's a Canadian one because I'm Canadian, and I was just slowly adding money to that over the years, a little bit here, a little bit there, and it worked. It's the S&P. It's gonna work. Yeah. So I held that until February of last year, 2025, when there was news floating around about Trump putting in tariffs, and I made my first actually good gamble, bet, whatever, that it would tank the market. So I sold everything and I got out. I made a pretty decent gain on holding that for 3 some amount of years, and it worked. I felt like an absolute genius because I timed the market almost perfectly, but as most times when you feel like an absolute genius, that'll come back to bite you very quickly, and guess what? Shocker, it did. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. So I successfully called a big tank in the market. Market dropped a ton, felt like an absolute genius, right? I'm basically Warren Buffett with better hair, and I'm more jacked. Same thing. But I want to talk about something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It works in this scenario so well you would think it's scripted. So the Dunning-Kruger effect works where once you get interested in something and you start to look into it a little bit, you think you're a genius for the first while. You think you know absolutely everything. And that works a lot of the time in trading. Is you make a couple of trades and you win decent, and you're, oh my god, I'm so good at this full time, let me quit my job, I'm never gonna need to work a desk job again. No. Quickly that changed, and you start to immediately fall off a cliff. I fell off that cliff. But as time goes on, you slowly start to realize that maybe you're not as much of a genius as you thought you were. Big shock. And eventually it starts to go up again a little bit, and you sort of figure it out, which is sort of what happened to me, and I'll talk about that more as the video goes on. So, how that happened for me, thinking I'm an absolute genius, I made my first ever individual stock pick, which was Google. I bought it right after the market really tanked when Trump implemented the tariffs, and I bought it in anticipation of their earnings that were coming up. I held it for, I think, a week or two, not long at all, and I made some money on it. Not bad for someone my age. And of course, I felt on top of the world and unstoppable. So I did it again. Now, the real pain about that trade wasn't that I made a bit of money and felt unstoppable. The real pain was that since then, if you look at the market at all, you would know that Google has doubled. It's okay though. So as the weeks went on, I started buying more individual stocks, trading basically as much as I could with next to no logic or research behind it. It was sort of, I'll chuck money into this thing, cross my fingers a little bit, and wait. Sometimes it worked, most of the times it didn't, go figure. But I was buying stocks like Qubits, Hims, SoFi, bunch of other random names I could find, and sort of just hoping. But the one that defined that sort of time of trading was Qubits, QBTS, or D-Wave. My dad had been talking about it. I'm pretty sure he literally just texted me the ticker, and I just looked at it, and I was like, sick. Because he's held it for ages, and he likes to rub it in my face about how much he's returned on it, so that's great. I put probably more money than I should have into it, and surprisingly it popped, and I think I made like a good 10% on it or something, and once again felt unstoppable. So I put way more money into it, basically doubled down. I managed to buy the exact top. The next logical step is to wait for it to bottom and then sell at the bottom, right? That's what you do. That's what I did. And guess what happened after that? It doubled. Over doubled from where I bought. And over the coming months after selling it, it went to 40. Great. I didn't own it anymore. I would have made a ton of money, but I didn't. That trade sort of perfectly defines the Dunning-Kruger effect. Bought, went up a ton, felt like a genius, it crashed, and I sold at the bottom. If I had just waited and not a panic sold, I would have doubled my money and would have felt like probably even more of a genius and made more stupid decisions, but it was an expensive lesson, and that's okay. Qubits wasn't the only one, the only dumb decision I made. Back in June of last year, I bought oil, USO, when Iran was first threatening to close the strait, because obviously that makes sense, you know, they closed the Strait of Hormuz, and oil pops, and it didn't. And I got stopped out for about a 10% loss, which was my first big loss in trading. That one definitely hurt a little bit, but it's okay, because we crawl back. There was also Hims. Hims is a pretty big name going around right now. I don't actually remember, I think I probably saw it on Reddit or something like that. And I bought first at around like $35 a share, I think, and then it popped on some good news, and I sold and made like a decent chunk of money, and then I didn't touch it for a while, and then I got back in at I think around like $60 or $65 a share after it had rallied a ton, and I did sell for like a little bit of a loss, but in the grand scheme of things it wasn't that deep, because since then it's halved from the 65. Like I think it's around like $25, $30 a share. I haven't looked in a while. But at one point it was trading at like $15 a share. And I was like, the stock doesn't make sense. Like I personally hate it. I think it's really stupid. Same thing happened with like SMR and Mara. I bought, made a little money, sold it, and then it dropped. Without fully realizing it, I made like a pretty decent decision on a dumb trade. And the pattern in all these is sort of the same. I find a name, look at it, sick, throw money at it, cross your fingers. There was like next to no research behind any of these trades. It was sort of just vibes. I don't think I properly looked at a financial statement until not that long ago. And that's when I started to like really understand what I was doing and how I can be smarter about it and not make stupid decisions like that. So the real turning point came in January of this year, when I actually started to pay more attention into what I was doing and not just throwing money and hoping it worked. I would actually start looking more into the financials of a company, you know, seeing what are people saying about it, what are the risks here, and sort of understanding what I was actually buying into. I started buying stuff like Nebius, still one of my biggest regrets. I bought it at like 110, it went to 140, and of course I didn't sell, and then it dropped to like 80, and I sold again basically at the bottom, and now it's like a $250 stock. A little annoying, but it's okay. So the real turning point was sort of understanding what I was buying into and why I was buying it. Like, does this make sense? Why should this work? Why shouldn't it work? And fully understanding basically how the financials of a company works, and not just liking the way a ticker sounds and being like, yeah, sure. And right around then is when I started finding like my niche, which ended up being aerospace and defense stocks. So over the last few months, I had invested in AV, like AeroVironment, Kratos, Kraken Robotics, Rocket Lab, which I'll talk about more in the next video. And the main one, which was Ondas, which I talked about, still my biggest holding. And once I sort of found my thing, was when I really started to understand what I was looking at. I'm looking into it more and realizing why it makes sense. Currently, I hold Ondas, which I talked about, Rocket Lab, which I actually bought more of today. It's been on a big dip. I don't know why I'm talking about it. I literally said I'm going to talk about it in the next video. I also hold ASTS. I also own Marvel, and I bought CoreWeave today, which is more of like a swing trade. But through this journey of stock picking over the last year and a bit, the real gain hasn't been the money I've made. It's really been the knowledge I've learned from trading, and it's helped me understand sort of what I'm looking at more. I'm going into finance in the fall at post-secondary, which hopefully I'll be able to understand even more and learn more than I know today. So to sort of wrap it all up, if you're young and you want to start investing, I recommend it. I think it's good. If you want to play it safe and just buy the index, buy a Vanguard ETF, whatever, that's smart. That's probably the right thing to do, you know? Set it and forget. But if you do want to stock pick and do more position trading, the one thing you need to know is that the Dunning-Kruger effect is coming for you. It will happen. It happens to a lot of people. You think you're a genius and then you blow up. But the main thing you need to know and learn is to not panic. If I had $1 for every time I've panic sold the bottom of a stock, I would be up there with Elon right now. And the other main thing is to actually do research. Spend even like a little bit of time, spend like an evening searching up what the company actually does. What do they do? Who do they supply for? Who do they work for? Who are their biggest customers? Where does the money come from? Like, are they profitable? Who's the CEO? Are they trustworthy? Have they had a good track record? Because you can throw money at a stock with zero sort of thought behind it, and some of the times it will work, you know? Some of the times it did work for me, but there will be those few times when it definitely will not work, and it won't work in a big way. That's where you start to panic, and then you panic sell, and it stings. I'm still learning, like, I'm still gonna make mistakes, you know? I'm not perfect, but that's sort of what the whole point of this channel is, to sort of document my journey. I'm not just gonna cover up every time I lose, because I'm not trying to seem like I'm a genius and I can see the future, because that's not true. In the next video I'm going to talk about Rocket Lab. I'm going to talk about how I found it, why I bought it, why I've held it through the last year, through some dips and through some big swings, and sort of what a big gain kind of looks like and how I go about managing that. So make sure to follow along if you're interested in that and you want to watch it. If not, I don't really care. If you're new here, welcome to Out of Stock. Follow along, subscribe if you're new. I'll keep making videos talking about my journey. If anything interesting happens, of course I'll talk about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.